about where he stands on this?
Well, so that's really good. So here's what's going on from my point of view. They're going after Georgia as being Jim Crow 2.0. Why? They'll be going after Texas next. What they're doing in Georgia is allow you 17 days to vote. Now, you got to have an ID to vote, and if you don't have one, they'll get one for you, including weekends. How are you suppressing people's right to vote when you give them 17 days to vote, including weekends? So the bottom line to me is that they're setting up HR1 for passage by saying that states like Texas and Georgia and maybe South Carolina be next, I don't know, that we have to have a national voting standard because these states like Georgia are suppressing the vote based on along racial lines. So here's what I think. I think that Joe Manchin is not going to turn on the people of West Virginia, because here's his choice. Allow the people of West Virginia to conduct elections, or allow the federal government to take over the election system for every American and impose upon every state like West Virginia insane requirements. No voter ID. So I would imagine that in West Virginia, if you ask the average person, do you believe you should have an ID to prove you are who you are when you vote? It would be overwhelming. I would imagine most West Virginians would want states to draw the lines, not some group in Congress. I am sure that most West Virginians wouldn't like the idea of ballot harvesting, where some partisan person can collect ballots from neighborhoods and other places and turn them in if they want to, and if they don't turn them in. So my view is that I doubt if most West Virginians want the federal government to be on the hook for $6 for every dollar you get through a donation. So I'm hopeful that Joe Manchin will look at HR1 as destroying the ability of West Virginia to conduct an election as they see fit, following the laws of the land. The reason I'm here with Governor McMaster is to let every South Carolinian know why I'm so upset. If you can show me voter abuse where people are not allowed to vote fairly and freely, I want to fix that. I see a political effort to institutionalize voting at the federal level on terms most advantageous to the most radical people in the country. And I'm not going to be part of that, and I'm hoping Joe Manchin will not be. They're trying to change the filibuster for this. They're trying to convince Joe Manchin, just work with us on HR1. Let's change the filibuster for one bill. Why are they picking this? This will destroy ballot integrity. This will institutionalize techniques used by the left to expand the vote in a fashion where there will be no integrity in the vote. This is the biggest power grab in modern American history, being pushed by the most radical people in modern American history to change the way we vote, to destroy the integrity of the ballot box. And we will not stand for it in South Carolina. And I am confident that Joe Manchin will be listening to the people of West Virginia.
Senator Graham, what do you think about HR1's requirement that super PACs disclose their donors publicly?
I'm all for that. Citizens United is your problem. I don't like dark money. I had all the money. Thanks to the generosity of people throughout the country, I was a well-funded candidate. But some of these PACs come out of nowhere. They come into a state. You don't know who's giving the money. They beat the hell out of you and they leave, and you don't know what their agenda is. Count me in for transparency, but you got Citizens United, and I've already talked to Sheldon Whitehouse. I want people to know, where the money's coming from. I believe in transparency. I believe in disclosing your donors. So that's something I could work on.
A recent poll found that the majority of Americans would support same-day voter registration. I recognize that this bill has a lot of layers to it, but do you see anything that's redeeming in it in addition to the dark money? Could you get behind same-day voter registration or any kind of compromises?
To me, I want to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. I don't want to have an influx on voting is a sacred right, but it's also a sacred process. I'd rather leave it up to the state of South Carolina. Why should we be mandating that? I mean, if it's working in a state and they like it, great. If Henry and the people of South Carolina don't want to go down that road, great too. For me, I'd like people to get registered, make it easy to be registered, but be on the books when you show up. They'll see your name, you show an ID, and you vote. I don't mind voting by mail, but I don't want to mail people ballots who don't request them. What happens to all these ballots in apartment complexes laying around when people move? The idea of ballot harvesting offends the hell out of me, that some person with a partisan edge can go through a neighborhood and collect people's ballots, help them fill it out, and turn it in if they want to, and if they don't, they don't. These are terrible ideas. It's same-day voting. I'd leave it up to people of South Carolina.